So
I think when I click on the other thing, I bet people who are listening to the live podcast can hear me, and you guys can't. So
I was wondering that, and
yeah.
I bet that's. Oh, she just texted me. She said she's fine with the girlfriend. She's
Oh,
fine
okay. With
that
the
term.
girlfriend. Okay. All right. All right. Well, you know what, guys? It's recording on my end, so I think we should just start, and then people who are watching the live broadcast can't hear me. I don't know. What do you want to do? It's like 12:30. I don't know what you guys want to do, or 11:30 your time.
But there was like a moment where it was fine, right? Like,
Yeah,
what
but
happened
it's
to
not
that?
working now. I have no idea.
Shit.
So it's either going to be you guys can hear me and they can't, or they can hear me and they can't hear you. So it's going to be one or the other.
But you're recording this too, right?
Yeah, I'm recording it, so I'll post it.
Right.
Yeah. So you just relay what I'm saying to everybody else, and then I'll actually record the whole. I'll actually post the whole thing because everything's.
So we'll have to repeat everything you say. So Jen just asked.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean,
Or we could take another minute and see if I can figure it out. But here, the thing is that there's this app called Soundflower, and Soundflower aggregates all of the sound, and it records the sound that's going directly into my computer. For some reason, it's not picking up like the built-in, and it's not picking up my microphone, and I don't know why.
there was a time when like sound engineering was literally just like plug these things in and we're good.
And we're good.
Yeah.
Now there's like all different softwares and
All the softwares and the buttons and the dials and it just
modems and
it's too much stuff.
I think it's fine. Well, you know what I could do is I could just put it over my little thing over on the side, and when I want to talk, I just switch audio. I'll just do that.
But then we won't know what you said. We can't respond to it.
Do you have a closed captioning feature on your Skype?
This is our first time back. It's going really great, guys. It's so good.
Oh my god. Well, I don't think anybody, at least I can't tell who's in the live stream.
Let's just talk,
Yeah.
guys. Let's just talk. It's okay. We're good.
Right.
We're good because
Right.
I can upload this later, so we're gonna be good. We're gonna be good. Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. So we had a whole recap of mental health. We also talked about medication.
Overwatch.
Talked about Overwatch for a while. That was pretty good.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So just relay what I'm saying to the people in the live cast. Otherwise, it's
So
really matter.
right now, Genevieve is recapping what we've already recapped so far at the beginning of this live stream podcast, and I think we all agree that it would be great if we could just sit in one room together and do this.
Yeah, someday.
Yeah.
Someday.
Yeah, it just occurred to me I've never actually sat down with you guys in the same room for a podcast recording.
Yeah, you have. We were in a back alley.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
weren't sitting in a room. We were in a back
Okay,
alley,
fine.
and it was like
Fair.
12 degrees outside.
That's fair.
That was a really good podcast though. It went over. I think we talked for like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
out
we did.
in like 20
Freezing
degree weather
cold.
out in the alley in Santa Fe. Yeah, it was great. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but you're right, Andy. We have never been in a room.
No, we've never been in a room.
No. So we had talked a little bit about starting this off with either personal deaths of 2017 or celebrity deaths of 2017. Do you guys have a preference on where to start?
Personal.
Oh, gosh.
Hey, we're going big.
I don't have a lot for personal this year.
I don't either. That's why I want to start with personal.
Yeah, this was a slow year for me in personal.
Which is a good thing, right? I think we can all agree that that's a good thing.
yeah, it's a great thing. It's a very
We want
good
a slow year. So who died, Andy?
Well, a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a while. It was one of those things. She lived in LA and then she moved and I hadn't seen her in a long time. And I don't know. Here's what's fucked up about this. I'm like, somebody asked me to, and I didn't see this at a pertinent time, but someone was making a documentary about her after she passed, and asked me to be interviewed for it, and I didn't do it.
And is there a reason why you didn't do it?
Well, I think I'd seen it too late, and it was also
Okay.
This was not a great year for me as far as like responding to people and doing things. It was very much a year of me not doing things. But I also don't know if I would have been comfortable doing it because I hadn't talked to her in a while, and I just felt kind of like, I don't know, I had like commented on her Facebook, a thing she said on Facebook like a couple days before, and that was the first interaction I had with her in a while. And then I think that, I don't know how she died is the other thing. And this is a thing that's happened to me a few times where like someone dies and I don't know how to ask how it happened. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I hate that so
like,
much.
Part of me, yeah.
Every time
I come off as ghoulish.
Every time somebody dies and they don't say, I get like really bad anxiety, and I go on like a hunt. Like I will go through, I'll search their name in Facebook and see everybody who's having that conversation about them, and I'll go through all of the comments looking for someone else who's willing to ask that question because I'm too scared to. The one time I actually was able to, a friend of mine, her roommate passed away not too long ago. And it was like completely out of the blue. And she said that. She was like, it was very clear from everything she was posting about it that it was sudden, but she didn't say how. And so then, I don't know, like 4 or 5 months go by, and then she's bringing it up again. And I said, that's so horrible. How did he die? And it felt like because there was that time gap, that it was okay for me to ask that at that point. And I tried to word it in such a way that I'm just like, oh my gosh, like how did he die? But really, it's like because I needed to know, like deep down, because again, I start putting all these calculations together, like how likely is this to happen to me? And it turned out that like he didn't have like the best health, and it was like I think it was a hard thing, but he was kind of like he like smoked a lot, drank a lot, and like didn't eat well, and all these different things. So I was like, okay, cool. I don't smoke. I don't really drink. I have low blood pressure, or like normal blood pressure. So like, okay, I don't think that's gonna happen to me, but. So that's what happened.
Yeah. I always am like part of me is like, it shouldn't matter how.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But also like, no, I want to fucking know. Like right. It's weird because it's like a detail about a person in your life, and it's like not knowing someone's favorite food. You know what I mean? Like, well.
Have you looked up her obituary? You haven't, and they didn't. I'm sure they didn't say it in the obituary.
They never did say that in the obituary.
Sometimes, sometimes they do. If it's like cancer, they'll say something like after a long battle of cancer. Like sometimes they'll do something like that.
That's true.
Well, she had health problems. She had like a condition or two that I'm not even fully aware of what it was. There was like a brain thing, and I don't know if that played a part in it because she's also younger than I am. And it's weird. It's different. Like when someone commits suicide, you don't want to ask. I mean, you really want to ask, but but there's also because it's like there's so many ways. Like I kind of want to measure up like how would I do it against how someone else would do it. But
yeah, it's not a competition, Andy.
But when it's suicide, like, it's definitely like, okay, I can't fucking ask because, like, someone found them. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's a whole thing. But when it's a health thing, like, I don't feel like I should feel weird about asking. I'm sure if I went online now and, like, looked up, I could probably do and I've done what you did before, but this particular person, I couldn't find anything.
Right.
And I talked to 2 mutual friends, like, when I heard about it, I was just like, oh my God, like this is awful. And I reached out to these 2 friends in like a Facebook message, and it was weird because like I hadn't seen these guys in a long time, and I missed them, and it was just like it was just like I wanted to reach out to them, but I also like kind of wanted to be like, do you guys know how it happened? But I couldn't
Yeah.
ask.
It's like when somebody has like a missing finger or like something like I used to work with this guy who had like this weird like bump on his arm, and I never felt comfortable asking, but it's like you're just like, how, like, what is that? And what I finally found out, because I asked somebody else, like the guy with the bump on his arm, he was in a horrible car accident where the car went on its side and his arm got caught out of it, and they had to take like skin and muscle from his leg and graft it onto his arm, and like so he had these bumps, and it was just like, that's fascinating. Like, I'm glad I know that now, but why can't I just ask him? Because
Yeah.
it's like I feel like those are conversations we should be having, like in a way of like, I'm curious about you and your life. I'm not asking to judge you, or because like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a way to ask these things, like, how did this person pass away? Because like, we're human and we want to know these things, and I think by asking that in a like a childlike fashion almost, you can kind of create a more intimacy with people, and it's to be a positive thing. Whereas like we tend to shy away from things because it might be
Well, it's
uncomfortable.
but it's not just because it's uncomfortable. It's because it reminds us of like our own mortality, and so
Right.
we want to know, and people like us, we want to know because we want to, like you said, either compare, like, that's something that's going to happen to me, or we're just really fascinated with it. But most folks don't want to even talk about it. Like, it's not
That's true.
anything. So we're not going to ask them because we don't want to like invade and make them start thinking about death. So there's like
Right.
an invasion of privacy there, but there's also like we might make them think about something that they don't want to think about, and I don't want to hurt them. I don't want them
More,
to.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's it's like that.
I was told the most fucked up story about a situation where someone asked somebody about a thing thinking it was going to be like, it was like the opposite kind of, where like it was just like a guy just had a scar on his face, and relatively compared to like a really, like someone missing a limb or whatever,
Yeah.
like, it's just like a scar on the face. And so he thought like, oh, like, skiing accident or some,
Right.
so he asked him like, where'd you get that scar? And the guy told him the story of like when he was a kid, his dad had a shotgun.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The neighbor like borrowed it to go hunting once, and then I guess at this time in society, what you didn't just go over and ask somebody for the thing, you lent them back. You said, hey, let's have dinner or something, and they have a dinner party, and then you bring it up casually in conversation over coffee after dinner. So this is all going on. They go over for dinner. They're talking. Kid sees his dad's shotgun in the corner of the room. Goes to pick it up, is just kind of like playing around with it. Doesn't know that it's loaded. Aims it at someone, pulls the trigger, blows their head off, stock of the gun.
Oh my
Face.
God.
And,
that did not go the way that I thought it was going to go.
No.
right?
I thought it was going to go like his dad like beat him, or like I thought it was going to be something like that, but fuck, how old was he?
I don't know. This is a story that a friend of my father's told me in high school, saying like, yeah, you got to be careful what you ask people, because one time I asked somebody
That
about
sounds like
that
sounds like the kind of thing like from Arrested Development, where it's like the guy in the arm falls off. That's why you never ask a question. Because this horrible thing happened, and like little Andy's just like, oh my God, yeah, I'm never asking anyone anything.
Never going to
That's
ask anybody.
insane.
That's absolutely insane.
Oh my God. Because to me, like, that kind of stuff always blows my mind. Because I do know that, like, things with guns happen, obviously, like, all the time. But, like, I feel so sensitive anytime, like, there's a gun, and it's, like, even toy guns. Like, if you point, unless it's, like, a Nerf gun and we're having a battle, if you point a gun at me, like, I get really, like, whoa, like, don't do that. Like, okay. Like,
well, I don't let August like play with any like play guns. He doesn't have those like shooter games. Like the biggest like closest thing to a shooter game he has is Zelda. Like, he's got Zelda games. But those are like archery and, like swords and stuff.
Fantasy.
Like fantasy stuff,
yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. But
that's the thing
like
too,
a
right? Like
shooter game, I can't do it. Oh.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Like a bow and arrow. Like a kid can't pick up a bow and arrow and do anything with it because they don't have the strength.
Yeah, they don't.
Literally,
and it would literally like it would take
fucking possible.
No, I hurt myself so badly when I tried it. Like you're supposed to kind of like bend your elbow a little bit like while you're doing it. And my elbows, like, they lock. They kind of go, like, in, like this, or whatever.
Like, hyperextension.
Yeah, like hyperextension. And so I had my, like, elbow, like, locked like this. And the string, just, like, went right. And I had, like, a bruise, I don't know, maybe 6 inches long on my arm for, months. Like, it was, like, raised. And it, like, eventually it was, like, trying to, kind of going down, blah, 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 blah. But... yeah, like there's no way. Like kid can't pick that up and do any harm. Like if anything, they're just gonna hurt themselves, But you're gonna get a bruise and then that's it.
Right. Yeah, and it's just I don't know. It's crazy. Fuck, man. Well, that's a crazy story, Andy.
Yeah, I'm trying to suss out how we got here.
So you're talking about
so my friend died.
Your friend died.
I hadn't seen in a while, and I don't know. She used to come to my open mic. We used to hang out at another open mic. She was a musician. She's great. Aw. She was great. And it's like, it's a shame. And it's one of those things where like, I don't know. Yeah. But it's also like, it's one compared to, other years.
Previous years, yeah. I didn't have anybody super close die this year at all. Like I didn't
I feel like we need to have like a the like fanfare and stuff like nobody died this year and like confetti and like da, 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 da.
We can get some guns and shoot them up in the air and then they come back down and then we die and then we're good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. No, but I do want to talk about one thing though. So my dad almost died. So I'm gonna talk about that. Oh
yeah, that was crazy, dude.
Yeah, he almost died. So they came down. I was supposed to go to Stanford for a talk. They invited me to come out and talk, and so I was gonna be gone for like 3 days, something like that. So my parents came down to Texas, so they were gonna stay with my son. And my mom stayed for a little while. They were like, "We'll just stay there for like a couple weeks, just so that we can visit your other sister." Blah blah blah. Right? So they're gonna be there for a while. So my mom and dad came down. They hung out for a while. Then my mom left. And it was literally the day after she left. I was at work. And my dad, he started getting like chest pains at my house. And instead of calling the ambulance, because he had like massive chest pains. He said he was sweating. He was kind of like shortness of breath, like pain. And so instead of calling the ambulance, he drove himself to... He like Googled VA because he's like an Army vet. So he Googled VA. He found this like outpatient clinic. So it wasn't even a hospital. It was just like a clinic that you would go to, like an urgent care, like if you had a cold or if you had like maybe the flu, they can help you, giving it some antibiotics, like that kind of place. So it was not an emergency room. So he drove himself to this VA clinic, and he's like holding onto his chest and like walking in just drenched. Like I saw his shirt afterwards. His shirt was just like you could wring it out. There was so much sweat in it. And right when he got in there, he went into cardiac arrest, and they called like a code blue on him, and they had to bring him back and like do all that. Yeah, it was crazy. Do all this stuff. They got him to an ambulance. They got him to a heart hospital, and he was in the hospital for like 3 or 4 days. But they put in two of his arteries were 90% blocked, and so they had to clear out his arteries, and they put two stents in his arteries. But he basically died. Like he died, and they were able to, because he went into full cardiac arrest. So that was the closest. That was like,
that's insane.
I thought for sure he was gonna that was.
Yeah, I remember talking to you like during that time. Like that was crazy. Like I was so worried for you.
I was terrified. I didn't know it was gonna happen.
Yeah, so that was like right around Thanksgiving, right?
No, it happened way before that. It happened in.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was like near a holiday, but
Labor Day.
Yeah, see, there you go. That's the people's people's holiday.
Yeah, there you go. The people's
Um,
holiday.
I did not. I did not get out of 2017 unscathed. I started the year with like two kind of big deaths. Like, so my grandma passed away on February 9th, I think it was, and that was kind of interesting. Like, so I'm not super close to any of my family, unfortunately. Like, I love them all, but I don't like we don't talk a lot or see each other a lot. So, like, my grandma passing, like, never really like hit me hard. Like, one thing I realized with her passing was that I wasn't sad that she died, and I don't think any of us are really all that sad when like really old people die. What we get sad about is like the sudden realization that like a huge chunk of our lives is gone. Like when my grandmother passed away, I wasn't like sad because I was never going to see her again. I was sad because it meant that I'm older than I think I am. Does that make sense? It's like all of a sudden, like, I'm not a kid at my grandmother's house getting oatmeal cookies anymore. Like, that's gone. Yeah. So I'm sad in a very narcissistic way.
I always feel like when someone, and I mean, I haven't had any grandparents since I was 21. Like my last grandparent died when I was 21.
Yeah,
so it's been a long time. But like when someone significantly older passes, I always feel like there goes a connection to a past. You know,
yeah,
like a connection to a past that I wasn't around for. Like it's like a history book being burned. You know,
yeah,
it's
absolutely
this whole wealth of knowledge and experience of the way that our world was that I don't have access to anymore.
Yeah, my grandmother was alive during the Great Depression.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how much history she saw, you know, like she saw World War II, Korea, Vietnam. She saw however many presidents in that amount of time. Like, you know, she saw the world America go from like nothing, just dirt basically during the Great Depression, where like food was here.
She's still dirt.
But also like my grandmother was from Crawford, Texas, you know.
Oh gosh.
Like, so she grew up on a farm in Crawford, Texas, and then you know, so she went from that to living on what's called a Friday Harbor, San Juan Island in Washington, and you know, living in a nice little old folks home she had an iPhone 5 when she passed, or no, she had an iPhone 5C or whatever when she passed away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy.
It's crazy. Like, I mean, absolutely nuts. Like, I can't even imagine like
the amount of time and history she experienced. So that was February 9th. My grandmother passed away, and that was sad. Like, again, like that was sad for me, and it was definitely kind of hard talking to like my aunts and uncles, who, you know, because of course, like when your mom passes, it's like really hard. So, you know, it was and my granddad passed away in like 98 or something like that. So they're all gone, but it wasn't super sad for me. Just kind of again like a kind of reflective thing. But then like a week later, I was on Facebook. So I used to work at T-Mobile in their like social media department. So I was like on a computer the whole time, like, you know, checking Facebook and checking Twitter and stuff for T-Mobile stuff. And I got a notification from my Facebook, and a friend of mine had passed away. Like I was going through I didn't get a notification. I was going through my feed and I saw somebody else post like, I can't believe Tommy's gone and all this stuff. And I was like, what? Like, because this guy was like 30, he was like 32 or something like that. And it was like one of those things where it's like, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And so I kept checking because I was like, maybe this is like just some weird joke thing or like, I don't know. And I found out this guy, so this is one of those things too, where like this guy, Tommy, and I, we were not like BFFs by any means, but he's someone who I really liked, and we talked a lot on Facebook. And I think what was hardest for me was I constantly would like fantasize about us like hanging out in the future, like because we were both in the film industry, and most of the time I would see him would be if we were on set together. And he was a stunt guy, and so if I was like doing background or like stand-in work, a lot of times I'd see him and stuff. And he was like the best part of like going to work was getting to run into him, because he's a super positive guy, really happy, a lot of fun to work with. And I always kind of had this like thing together, because we were in an acting class together too. And so I kind of just always thought, like, someday me and Tommy are going to be in a movie together where we're like, we both got lines, and it'll be really fun, we can hang out, and it'll be cool, you know? And then I find out that he died, and it was just like, but what about about
All
our
these
we're
plans.
gonna do it.
What about our plans?
We're gonna hang out, man.
Like
Like,
things I wanted to.
and it sucked. Like, it really sucked. And then I start having the whole like imposter syndrome thing, where it's like, well, I shouldn't be that upset about it because we weren't like best friends. You know,
I get
like,
that way too. When I hear someone's died that it's like not that I'm not super close to, but like I know well enough that I should probably be sad. I always feel like I need to regulate how sad I am because it's like I have to consider like. But there's people that know him like way better than I do, and they're probably way more sad. So I shouldn't feel this sadness. I don't know. I get in my head.
There was a comic in the Denver scene that passed.
Jordan.
No, Heather Snow.
She had cancer, right? She had cancer.
Yeah. I remember, like, I hadn't hung out with her or talked to her in, a couple years.
Yeah.
So, like, when I felt real real fucked up about it, I was like, yeah, but like you weren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was
totally.
beating myself up because like it was like you didn't make an effort. You weren't being cool. Like you don't get to feel this way.
Right. And like there was a comic who that just reminded me. There's a comic who passed away in Austin, LaShonda Lester, and I had worked with her like a few times. I mean, but I wasn't. Again, it's one of those things where it's like I didn't know. I mean, I'd only met her maybe a year before she passed away, and I had worked with her like maybe 6 or 7 times, something like that, so, but I wasn't like, I mean, she was really cool, and I talked to her maybe like on Messenger a few times and stuff like that, and in person she was great, like, we got along really well, but I'm not like her close, I wasn't like her close friend or anything, and I didn't really like, but she was such like, she was one of those people that was just so, I don't know if you ever met somebody like this where you just like, when you talk to them, you feel like you've known them for like your entire life. She's just one of those people because she's so incredibly talented. She's so sweet. When you talk to her, she wants to know everything about your life. She's asked you all these questions. She gives you advice. She just was like really, so you immediately were like, wow, this person's really, but you know that you're not like close friends with them, but you still feel like a sense of, I don't know how to explain it, but you
absolutely. And even with people you don't know, like, sucks Andy's like stepping away real quick because he's the Colorado person. But you can remind me of her name. Well, I'll wait for Andy to come back because he'll know who I'm talking about.
Which one?
Jordan, I think is her name.
Oh yeah, I don't know how to say her last name. I think it was like Willeby or Willaby.
Oh, Jordan Willeby.
Yeah, Willeby.
Yeah, I never met her once, but what sucks is I actually just from Colorado people, like I had seen some of her stuff, like because people share clips or whatever, and I remember when I guess what was it last year when she passed? It was 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I was looking at the lineup for Cinderblock in New York because we know Corey who runs that, and so like I was looking at the lineup and I saw Jordan was on there. I was like, oh my god, like a Colorado person, like that's so cool. And I like watched they put a link to one of her sets, and I watched it and I was like, fuck, like she is funny. And then like a week before Cinderblock, she passed away, and I was just like, what? Like no, like.
Sometimes there's these deaths that are like they're not like personal, but you still feel like a loss.
Because like you can see like it's like you appreciate what this person brought into the world.
Yes.
And to not have that like this was a legit funny person who like told good jokes, and like sometimes those feel really rare,
Well, like LaShonda had just won funniest person in Austin, and she had just gotten a Comedy Central half hour, and she passed away like a few weeks before she was going to record it.
And what happened to her?
She had some like liver problems and kidney problems. She was on dialysis for a very long time, and I don't know why she was on. Like I don't know what the underlying cause was, but she was on dialysis for a really long time. She needed a transplant, and really, I'm gonna be honest. I think what killed her was our shitty healthcare system. She couldn't afford it. She had a GoFundMe, and she couldn't afford it, and eventually, she was on dialysis for so long that it just that's what killed her.
Heartbreaking.
I know.
Well,
there just on that subject of. Heather, when she, I guess she was on Jackie Cation and Lori Kilmartin's podcast, and there was a thing like a few weeks ago when it was like Jackie Cation, I think, made one of their fans made this list of comics that had been on their podcast, and it was like 100 top best funniest women comics, and it was like it was being shared a lot on Instagram and Twitter in the context of, hey clubs, if you have trouble booking women, book these women.
Yeah.
And Heather Snow's name was in there, and I genuinely got like hurt and shitty about it. I was like know this, like know this and care about this, that this person that you're saying, hey, book, like, and again, like I felt stupid for being that way because it's like I hadn't talked to her in a while, you know, when she asked, I hadn't talked to her in a while, I hadn't seen her in a while, so it was just like I felt like a hypocrite, and I had to kind of like, you know, sort of filter that a little bit because my first reaction was like that's great, she's awesome, I'm glad people are talking about how funny she was, but also like
too late.
You should know. Yeah. Why didn't this happen when she was alive? Yeah, I know. It just like fucking sucks.
Yeah. So that was it for me. Really, it was those two, and then just I have a lot of. I've watched as like a lot of people I know have like lost people. Like I've known like 2 people who lost their fathers this year. Like I know like a handful of people, like my friend who lost her roommate, and just like other friends of friends who've like passed away, and like so. My Facebook feed has been fun, I'll just say. And it's like, and it's really kind of, I think for me, it's like really been a year of like having that effect be noticeable by me of like, here's a post by somebody saying that their father died. Here's a post about cute cats. Here's a post about how our democracy is like burning to the ground. Like, and like, this sort of like constant roller coaster of emotions that Facebook is.
Yeah. I one of my like main New Year's resolutions is to just get off Facebook for a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took it off I deleted the app from my phone.
That helps a lot. It helps
November.
a lot.
And it did help a lot. And then I started checking it from my phone's browser. And
You know what works though is, at least for me, I don't know, like logging completely out of Facebook. That like when I go to my browser and I want to like.
Oh, you've got the login screen.
The login screen, and you're like, yeah, it gives me that minute of like, no, I don't want to do that, and then
that's it helps.
I don't know.
So my girlfriend, and I last night. The way we celebrated Christmas was by just watching Christmas episodes of a bunch of different TV shows. And we watched some Seinfeld last night. And there was something about watching it and knowing that these people didn't have social media. They didn't have cell phones. Like they just were, it was like, it brought me back to a time when you would just hang out with people, you know? And if you weren't hanging out with people, you'd just be at home, like reading a book or like listening to music without any sort of like expectation that you can share that moment with anyone. Like that's just your moment.
Yeah.
And it really made me kind of miss it.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, I've had a lot of that this year. I've had a lot of like, nope, these are my moments. Fuck you. Like,
yeah.
It's important. It's absolutely important. You know, I have what I call like news blackouts and like in social media blackouts where I'll just turn off my phone. And the thing that sucks is I have to like warn everybody so nobody thinks I'm like dead, you know?
Yeah.
I'll text my mom and say like, hey, I'm not gonna look at my phone, or I'm gonna turn my phone off for like 24 hours, or I'm gonna do this thing, or I'm gonna, you know, so I have to like the people who contact me a lot, I've got to warn them so they don't freak out. But I have to turn off my phone. I just turn it off, and then, you know, it's actually though like that. I think about a year and a half ago, doing something like turning my phone off would have sent me into an anxiety attack for sure.
Yeah.
And mostly because I would get worried that like, not like social media stuff or like, but I would get worried that like someone's trying to contact me and they need my help, and they like, you know, all of this stuff. I would be like, you know. So I like told my mom, like, you know, if you need me or whatever, you just email me and I'll check my email at night, and, you know, so you know where I'm at or whatever, and that's it. But I've been doing a lot of like CBT this year, the cognitive behavioral therapy stuff this year.
Oh, cool.
I've been doing a lot of CBD.
Oh, really? Do you like it? Does it work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot, but yeah, it's great. It's great, and I needed more.
Texas is going to hopefully approve it for PTSD. So
Oh,
Nice.
they have it
Nice.
right now just for seizures. That's it. So
Yeah.
like if you are epileptic, but
What's something?
something. Yeah. So anyway, so so we do a lot of CBT and cognitive behavioral therapy for people who don't know what that means. And one of the major things, because I'm like, so I have OCD, and I'm like, how it manifests is like through working. Like I work way too much, and I'll just like work. It's like workaholism isn't really like a diagnosis, but it's because it's usually linked to something, you know, like it's usually like an underlying like mental health thing. But I have that thing where it's like I just like work. So what my one of the like behavioral changes that my therapist made me do was to not check my email on Fridays, which was like a huge thing for me. She was like, from sun up to sundown, don't check your email. That's it. You can do it like when the sun goes down, you can sit down and you can check your email. But for sun up to sundown, don't check it. So I had to
I love that those terms too. It sounds like a Seventh-day Adventist or like
yeah.
like a Jewish thing,
Like a
maybe.
Jewish
It's
thing.
like
That's your Shabbos.
Yeah, exactly. That's my Shabbos. But so I've been doing that, and I've been doing it for close to 7 months now, something like that. The first 2 weeks, I had panic attacks. Like it threw me into like a full on like panic attack, knowing that I couldn't like check my email. But then you have to do the whole like grounding stuff where you're like, like what am I doing right now? Like there's things that you can do. You like touch your feet to the ground, or you can like you have to like feel something like texture wise and just think about the texture. Like there's other kinds of things to like work yourself out of a panic attack, right? Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to check your email, and then that because that's the behavior that you're trying to stop. Yeah, because it's a secular thing, and so when you have OCD, you have to figure out ways to stop that cycle. So that you get out of the ritual. So whatever the ritual is that you're doing, you can't keep doing that ritual. Because if you keep doing that ritual, it's going to send you into a panic attack, and then it's like over and over again, right? So you have to like work your way through that, work through those panic attacks. By the third week, I wasn't having panic attacks, and then I've been doing it for like 7 months now, and so I started a couple months ago. I started these like blackout days where I wouldn't be on anything for like a whole day. So that's helping a lot. So now I'm trying to like in this new year not have Facebook in this new year. That's my next
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. I would love to. I think for me, it's like if I'm like I would like to ideally only use social media to like promote things that I've like made, or do you know what I mean? Like have it be a very proactive thing as opposed to just like a passive. I just sit there and scroll through it for 6 hours. Like I want it to be like, okay, I made like a short. I need to advertise that, do that, and then leave.
Yes.
Yeah. In October when I was first it was actually more like September when I was like, I had been like not doing comedy really for most of the year. I was still trying to like figure out my meds. I was dealing with some other mental health stuff and some family stuff, and I was like, I should just delete Facebook from my phone. Like that's step one. But I have this thing I do in October where I post like horror trivia every day.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's like a Halloween kind of like, it's just a thing for the month of October, and then I get prizes, and I give prizes to the people that won at the end. And so I was like, okay, well, I will leave Facebook on my phone so I can do that until I'm done with that. And then it became like, so being on Facebook like had a purpose. I was doing that. Like that was the thing I was using it for. And then when I took it off my phone, when I was like, okay, this is done. It's November. I don't need this anymore. I said I was going to do it, so I took it off my phone. And I was fine for a while because the whole thing was just like I was using it for that. I had a purpose. I had a design with it. Now that that's fulfilled, I don't need this. Right. And it lasted for a while, but eventually I whatever it was, like I slipped back into that ritual of like, oh, I need to argue with somebody. Like,
man. I argued on. So there's a comic in Denver. Her name is Janae Burris. And,
yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Oh my God! No, I argued and argue. I was just so mad though. Like I could not. Like I got sucker. But this woman. I'm not gonna say her name because I feel like I don't want anyone to like gang up on this person. You know. But this woman, I guess, does this a lot. She kind of like, and I don't know her. It's her thing, and I don't know her very well. But she just made me so mad, and I feel like I've been doing pretty well with not engaging. A couple of times because of my background as like because of the professor stuff that I do, and like because I deal with race, I deal with feminism, I do all this stuff. A couple of times, Denver comics who I know would like tag me in a comment when they're having an exchange with her. And then they would say, "Hey, Genevieve, like, maybe you can deal with this better," or something like that. And
it's so shitty though, because
they weren't trying to be shitty. They were trying to be like, "I'm a dude. I don't know how to talk about this. I know not only are you a woman, but you're also like you write about this shit. Can you help me out?"
Yeah.
Like they were trying to be helpful. They weren't trying to just drag me in. But successfully over the last few months, I've been able to say I don't engage in those kinds of conversations on Facebook because I don't think it's a good place to have an interaction.
Well,
and then I just found myself just like hours just fight, just like because
the thing is, it's like
she's real good at bringing the spiral out of people.
Yes,
we don't do that in real life. Like no one. I don't have those conversations with people in real life. Like I don't know. Like I've only ever had those kinds of like knockdown, drag out.
Oh no, yeah, we don't have those knockdown, drag. But I mean, we've had conversations that were like where we have disagreements, but not like that. There's no way.
But you and I also like I'll listen to you, and then like a lot of times you'll convince me like, hey, maybe you're thinking about this wrong, and then I'll like change my opinion. Like, but the sort
or
of
you'll
like
tell me I'm acting shitty, and then I'll change my behavior, and then we'll
right. So it's a conversation though. It's not like. But the format of these kind of conversations where like I'll post a block of text and then you post a block of text and it's like, well, you're just an idiot who watches fake news. No, you're just an idiot who blah blah blah. Like that doesn't happen in real life.
No,
and I don't
it
know,
doesn't.
Like,
and the only reason why I even commented on Janae's thing was because like we had a really good interaction on a different post.
Right.
You know, and then I saw her post a question that I thought was a really good question. So I was like, well,
but this isn't Janae that you're.
No. Like, but I mean, normally, normally I try to stay away from those conversations on Facebook at all.
Right.
Like, I try to at all. But I did it because I was like, well, like I want to support Janae because we were having this conversation elsewhere. So I feel like like this is. So I did that, and then. The only reason why I initially replied to her was because she totally took everything I said out of context.
Right.
Like, she totally fit it into what she wanted it to be and had so I was like, oh, well, no, I got to make sure that people know that's not what I'm saying. So I had to clarify it. And then it was just like...
And then it just turns into, it spirals and yeah.
It was just terrible. And then she totally was like, pulled out this crazy ass racist stuff. And then she and then I was like, you're being racist. And then she sent me. And then when I was like, no more, I'm not going to engage with you anymore. And I stopped.
It's funny.
And then she sent me 26 messages on Facebook. Like, I'm not friends with her. So I didn't accept any of them, on Messenger. But she sent me 26 Facebook messages. And then I finally posted just one more thing. I said, don't send me 26 messages. Don't, keep your name, keep my name out of your mouth. Don't ever talk to me again. Stop until you can figure out why you're being racist. I'm not here to educate you. You got to figure it out on your own. So that was it.
Yeah.
But it was just like, God, it was like a whole day. It was like I blacked out and then I woke up and I was like, what?
There's it's frustrating because there is room for dialogue on these things.
Yeah.
There are, a lot of the things that she and people like her are trying to address with people are things that should be addressed, absolutely,
for sure.
But there's this thing where it's like there's no compromise, there's no room for critical thought.
It's 2017.
There's no context. It's just this everything is a preemptive strike.
Absolutely.
Can we just say 2017, the death of discourse?
Yes, that's what it is, the death of discourse. Because she had I wasn't discounting. We actually agreed. I wasn't discounting her point. It's just that she was trying to completely diminish what anybody else was saying. And I'm like, no. It's like, Ashley, I don't know. I'm a little idealistic sometimes, a little like kumbaya, like let's just all talk to each other and we can figure it out, you know, like let's just do that kind of thing. Yeah. And she just wanted to like, I don't know. She got to the point where she's, because I called her, I said that she was a colonialist. I said that she was trying to, which is true, she was, because she's trying to like, the way that I envision it in my mind is that she is like created this narrative of herself as a savior, and she's going to go into Denver and she's going to save Denver comedy from everything, and she has not earned any kind of right as
her whole thing is like, if I'm not in this,
it's sexist. Yes, exactly.
And not just if I'm not welcome in this space, but if I'm not championed in this space,
right, it's sexist.
Then the space is problematic, and it's like,
no.
What are you talking about?
I want her to post one video of her doing comedy, because I bet she's not funny. I don't know, but I kind of feel like,
especially like it seems. I think now with that comment, I kind of know what you guys are talking about. Because I saw some of these. Is this in relationship to that show that they had at the comedy?
No, okay. She is part of that.
She's
right.
Part of that whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
The conversation we were having was something completely different.
From what I
understand. No, I understand, but I'm talking about who's involved. Yeah, that's her. Okay. Yeah, and like, yeah, that's
basically if the words block her come up on social media from anyone tangentially connected to the Denver comedy scene, there's one person they're talking about.
Yeah. And it just sucks, because it's like, I understand. Yes, being a woman in comedy is really hard. It's absolutely fucking hard.
Yeah.
I have been sexually harassed numerous times. I was sexually harassed for an entire year from some dude who was sending me all of it, like it was really hard, right? I had to block every aspect of it. Anyways, but there's a lot of shit. So it's like, I agree. Yes, it's sexist. But no, you cannot just
But then it sucked to watch as like some of the stronger women in the comedy, the Denver comedy scene, like Christy and like Timmy, were having to like be abused in this like
by her
situation.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
like, my whole thing was like, I'm not gonna, and I told it very clearly. It's like, I'm not gonna comment on Denver comedy. I don't live there. But my problem is that you're not listening to the women that are in your community. And if you're not listening to them, then then you're not enacting any kind of feminism, because you're not talking to them. And you're trying to impose your own narrative on who they are and what they do and why they're making their choices. And then, so you're coming in as this person who's going to like colonize Denver comedy in your own narrative, and you're going to be the savior, and everyone's going to like you said, champion you because you're this savior or whatever, right? And it's like, no, you're not. Sorry, you're not going to do that. And then she tried to say, I don't understand how I'm a colonizer or that I have any institutions behind me. I'm like, you're a white woman. You have every institution in America behind you. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. Yes, you have institutions behind you. Like, are you insane?
Right.
Sorry, I don't like to use the word insane, because I feel like that's a bad word.
Well, yeah, I get it. I mean, I'm neurodivergent, and I don't have a problem with it, but I understand people who do. I mean, I have privilege among the neurodivergent, you know? Yeah. I get. I mean, I guess we've gone off on a thing here.
Yeah, we have.
last comment by Andy, and then
okay, so we're gonna move on.
Part of my issue is that like I see not just her, but like people who engage like her, who use that kind of rhetoric, and who treat discourse like it's a competition, and I have those tendencies. Like, and it's so easy for me to slip into those or be baited into those exact kind of like spirals where it's like any challenge to what you're saying is taken as a wholesale attack, and so you kind of lash out and fortify and like start doubling down on stuff maybe you don't even believe, just because you can't be seen as there can't be a challenge to your intellect because you're insecure about it. Like, I have that. I don't think that I have ever been quite at the level of that, but I'm afraid of it. So, so I also, I'm trying to disengage from all of that. There's this Facebook argument going on right now on Joe McAdams' wall that's like he took a poll that's are aliens Halloween, yes or no, and it is fiery. It is like,
Well, fuck.
it's the funniest because it's all of that kind of discourse, all of that kind of dialogue just coming out, but about the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
And it's fun because there's no stakes.
Yeah.
I feel so bad about this that I'm actually gonna say his name wrong, I think. But Yodoy?
Yeah, Doye, yeah.
Doye, okay.
Yeah. Yodoye.
Did you see the thing he posted about not liking Bill Hicks and like that fucking?
Yeah, I did. I saw that.
Oh, dude.
I would have to go and find that one because I don't like Bill Hicks either. I think he's in.
I'm with the people that were like, look, you got to understand, 30 years ago, Bill Hicks was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
So it's like,
right. It's all contextual.
Some of us are going to hold on to that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But like,
well, I mean, I think you can admit.
That.
I think you can admit that he was groundbreaking and that he had a huge impact on comedy, but also just not really like it. I think you did both.
Yeah, you can just not like it for sure, but like, I don't know. I don't want to bring up Star Wars. You know,
But anyways, that was.
I don't want to talk about Star Wars.
Just one last thing. I want us to move on to people who.
Yes,
died.
Let's do that.
But I just want to say, I think one big problem here and I think a lot of white men fall into what I'm about to say, and that
you don't say
that we see ourselves as the good guy, right? And we buy into that.
Yeah, don't you watch movies? We're always the good guy.
No, exactly. So if I believe that I'm the good guy and I believe that my intentions are good, then whatever I'm saying can't be problematic because it's coming from a good place. So it's like, so if you don't ever question that narrative, then you're never going to be able to listen to somebody who's telling you like, hey, you're being racist or you're being problematic or whatever, because you're always going to fall back on like, but my intentions are good.
Yeah.
So like, obviously, like I can't be causing any harm because I'm doing a good thing. And like, I've watched movies and I know that white men with good intentions always save the day.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and it's like, and so unless that can be challenged, and it's like, well, maybe your idea of what a good person is wrong, or your perception of yourself is flawed. Like, until people can be open to questioning those things, I think it's going to be really hard to like change the conversation.
Absolutely. I won't go into this because it's going to get posted at some point, but Brett Hiker has this podcast about NHL now starting soon. I don't know. He doesn't have a name for it yet, but anyways. But he on our drive.
You should call it pucking around.
Yeah. Oh, you should text that to Brett. We just had a tour with Comedians Power Hour through like Texas and some other places, and on one of our drives we recorded like a podcast, and it was all about like racism in the NHL. So, but my whole point was that like I'm not gonna call every NHL fan a racist, but like there's this huge overwhelming like they really hate the NBA, and I'm like, well, you gotta kind of maybe think about like why you hate the NBA.
Like, you hate the NBA. Like
what is it about the NBA that's different? You know, like you have to. So I was like,
I don't understand how that's possible. Like, what could you possibly hate about basketball?
They get so much. Well, just listen to the podcast, but anyways, but the whole point was that you have to separate intent from impact.
Right.
What is the impact of your actions, the impact of what you're doing, and you have to kind of separate.
And that's the thing, right? At the end of the day, your thoughts and feelings don't really matter. It's your actions and your impact that matter. Exactly. So it's like you can say that, oh, I'm not a racist all day, but it's like, but what have you done to actually advocate for like non-racist interactions or whatever? Like, what are you doing? Anyways, okay. So people died.
People who have died.
I feel like I want to undo everything I've said already.
People who other people know and care about have died. The deaths in our lives don't really matter for anything because who fucking knows any of those guys? Nobody knows my grandma, but we know some of these people. So we're
going to do what's this segment called? This Year in Death.
Yeah, This Year in Death.
There you go.
Number one, hope.
My future.
Yeah. The future.
I pretty much I will say in line with those things, I pretty much gave up on ever having kids this year. I think.
Did you?
I think I was just like, there's no point. Like it's too late. Like August is.
I'm not far enough in the current. It's not even a relationship, but the current situation that I'm in. Man friend that I have, whatever, you know. I call them man friend before I call them boyfriend. But anyway, so the current, you know, but we've had a little bit of conversations about like, you know, because he doesn't have any kids, you know, so it's like, you know, would you at some point want to? And so I was thinking about that too, and it's like for a long time I didn't want to have another kid because it's like I had my kid, and he's great. You know, why would I want another one?
Your kid's worth like 5 kids.
Yeah, but I don't know. Recently, I've been thinking maybe I'll do it. We'll see.
Don't push your luck, Jen. You had one amazing kid. Like,
but if I can make one amazing kid, couldn't I make 2?
I mean, I'm just saying it's possible. You probably have better odds than most people, but you're pushing your luck. You're getting greedy there.
Getting greedy.
That's how good August
as someone who's never gotten anything right on the first try, I would caution against pushing it. Honestly, if I ever in my life got something right on the first try, I'd be like, okay, we're good. Don't need to do it
Don't need to do it again.
Yeah, don't need to risk that again.
So you're not sure if you want kids, Will?
No, I think I like the idea. One thing that really did it for me though is I was reading a thing about like how to lower your carbon footprint, and like the number one thing was don't have kids. By not having a child, you lower your carbon footprint on the planet by like some insane amount, like more than anything else you can do. And so I was just like, okay, well, I guess I just won't have a kid then, because I don't want to like perpetuate this travesty that's happening to the planet. Anyways, so okay, hope died. Democracy died.
Do you get how many carbon footprint points do you get back by adopting?
Oh,
if you adopt a kid, does that like?
I feel like that's a pretty carbon neutral move because your kid's already born.
Yeah.
The kid already exists, so the kid's already doing things.
Yeah. But I don't think you necessarily. I think that's carbon neutral because the kid's already there. They're already going to have whatever their carbon footprint is. You're just, if anything, you have the potential to lower it by like raising them vegetarian or buying them eco-friendly.
Are you sure being a vegetarian it lowers your carbon footprint?
Most things I've read, yeah, it does.
Yeah,
I remember reading a thing that says it's pretty neutral because, especially if you're vegetarian in the United States, because it doesn't really do anything. You still have the same packaging. They use a lot of water. They still have all this stuff that they use.
Okay.
If you're like vegetarian, in another country that doesn't have the kind of like.
Well, if you're like a vegetarian and like you do like raw and locally sourced or whatever, I imagine.
Yeah, I bet that would do it. Yeah.
And I think you're probably more likely to do those things if you're a vegetarian.
Probably.
Does it even matter though? I mean, the planet's going to die.
It doesn't matter. That's the thing.
None of it
That's what
the dream is gone.
But even that, like, this is what I always come back to, is that it's like you have to understand that there is a finite amount of time that like humans will be around and that our planet will be around.
Yeah.
So
and with every like choice we've been making for the last couple of years, we're shortening that time.
But it ultimately doesn't matter though, because there will be it's finite no matter what. So in 10 billion years, what impact really do our actions have now?
Like that article that I sent you about how they said in 10 years we're all going to be having sex with robots.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter though, is what I'm saying.
But all of that, I feel like the more we make choices like that, where we're building like sex robots, like that kind of thing, we're losing our humanity. Like there's something that we're losing, and if we're not thinking about like our humanity and human connections, we have less of a chance of wanting to save humanity. Like we're like just devising our own.
But see, I'm talking about there is an end point though. You can't save humanity forever, right?
No.
So.
Yeah, but it's sort of like
does it matter? Like, does it really matter? Like, obviously, we should be kind to each other in this moment because that makes this moment better. Yeah. But should I not eat a steak because it might add a year to like humanity's ultimate devastation?
This is what we were talking about at the beginning, though, when we were talking about like how we've been making choices to ward off death for the time being. You know what I mean? Right. But like as a species, humanity was like in the process of trying to quit smoking, and then out of nowhere was like, you know what? Not only am I not going to quit cigarettes, I'm going to take up meth as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. What happened.
So we're just like, yeah. I don't know.
We'll have fun.
All right, number 1, guys. Let's click on this Variety link. So we are getting all of our end of year stuff from a Variety link, which I will post on our Facebook page.
Nothing to me like I don't think anyone famous will be as devastating as like Prince and David Bowie in the same year. Like that was too much. Like I don't.
That was a lot.
I was trying to think about that, about how this year stacks up compared to last year, because like
Last year
I feel like last year was like 2016 was Death's big year, you know, like not just the Bowie and Prince, but then at the end of the year you had Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher, like mother-daughter combo back to back.
Yeah.
Like, was it like a day apart or something? It was like
48 hours, something like that, wasn't it?
So crazy. This year, I don't think there's been anything quite as big and garish as that.
Is it okay if I start naming names, Jen? Or
do it. Go ahead. Yeah,
sorry.
So this is number 2 on the list. Fats Domino. Like, amazing musician. I learned about him when I took a jazz history class a long time ago. I really liked a lot of his stuff. I thought he'd been dead for at least like 20 years. Like when I took this class in like 2003, I thought he was dead because my teacher didn't talk about him still being alive or making music. I thought he was dead then. Turns out, no, he was still alive. He died like a month ago.
He died a month ago.
Like, so that's not a huge impact. Like, it's not like he had his time, you know. Like, I feel like I'm sounding like a jerk here, but like,
yeah, I was like,
he lived like a long life. He had all those things. So like him dying wasn't that big of a deal. Prince, on the other hand, I just want to bring it back to Prince. He still had a long life ahead of him, you know. Like Prince still had another couple of decades of making music and touring. So, I'm just saying,
nothing. Yeah, 2017 does not compare to 2016 in terms of deaths, but it did significantly increase my death anxiety. So
well, it also, I mean, we did have the like one of the largest American shootings.
Yeah.
And like we had.
Oh, isn't it the biggest one now?
So far,
is it the biggest?
Yeah. Didn't it immediately like jump up to number 1?
Yeah, because the one before that was Orlando Pulse night shooting, and then that was like 30 something, and then the one in Vegas was like 57, I think.
57, yeah.
So who else is on here?
Tom Petty. I want to talk about Tom Petty.
Okay, Tom Petty.
I feel like, so I was going through this list, and we've got huge hitters on this list. You know, obviously not anybody as, like you said, that would impact us as much as a Prince/Bowie combo. But the closest one for me, I think, on this list is Tom Petty. I think that's the closest one.
Because he was only like 60 something, right?
Yeah, he says he was 66.
That's crazy to me, because that, for how much he did, I feel like he should have been at least like 80 something. Like,
yeah, I know.
I mean, he was playing music young.
Yeah, he was. He was super young.
Because I remember being a kid and listening to Tom Petty. Like, my parents listened to Tom Petty. And, like, I remember watching him on MTV, like, some of his music videos.
I watched, like, so many of his music videos on MTV when I was a kid. Like, I was, like, super into Tom Petty.
Well, they were super visual. Like, his music videos were always
Did you ever see him live?
No, I didn't.
I saw him live.
I always wanted to see him live. One year I worked an event at the Ford Theater while Tom Petty was playing the Hollywood Bowl just across the 101. So for a big chunk of the event at the Ford Theater, I got to just stand outside and listen to Tom Petty across the 101, which was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never got to see him live, and it's a bummer. I always...
He was great live.
Hey, guys.
He was really funny. He was, like, super funny.
We got Taylor on the live stream chat saying that if we get a space arc to an M-class planet, we can live forever. So
let's do that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if that were possible, I guess that is the one eventuality where human beings could outlive.
But that's not gonna happen now. Like, we had a shot at Star Trek, but we got Mad Max instead. Like
nothing's going to be funded unless it's some, like, it's going to be something like I'm trying to think of, give me some sci-fi where the richest people on the planet get to escape, but not us.
Like a 2012.
Like a 2012, like a Battlestar Galactica kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Or what was it, Elysium or whatever?
Elysium. There you go. Elysium.
People go up to the
planet. Yeah, so that they're going to, because like Elon Musk and Richard Branson and those folks, they're all going to figure out a way to escape.
Even that, it's like, I wish, like, that's such a stupid idea, because, like, you can't just have a society of rich people. I mean, it doesn't work. Like by definition, it doesn't work.
They're gonna choose. Well, yeah, but as soon as they get to another planet, they're still
The
gonna have
thing
a
is,
hierarchy.
once they have everything automated, once they have like literally every aspect of life is automated, and they don't need poor people to work for them anymore.
But who's gonna make like the art and stuff? You know, like I feel like most good art comes
from computers.
They don't care about. Art. Do you think rich people care about art? No.
They will when it's gone.
They do, but
no,
they do it as a superficial way.
They do as like a class, like it's like a representation of their class, right?
Yeah,
so
like one of the largest donors to the New York Opera is like one of the Koch brothers, so it's like, they do that shit. But it's like, it's status.
Okay, so Tom Petty died, and that was sad because
Bill Paxton.
Again, there was a name. Yeah, dude, that was crazy.
Wait, I don't.
Bill Paxton.
Yeah, Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
Oh, and I didn't know this actor's name, but I loved him in True Blood. Was Nelson Ellis.
Nelson Ellis.
Yeah, he played Lafayette on True Blood.
Oh, that's
Lafayette.
Right.
Yeah, Lafayette was great, and he was 39.
Jeez.
Very young.
So young.
It's weird. Like there were a lot of comedians that died this year.
There are a lot of comedians.
Yeah,
there are every year.
Ralphie Mays,
Ralphie May, Dick Gregory,
and like Ralphie May. So like obviously like no one's that. I don't think anybody can be that shocked about Ralphie May's passing because he was severely overweight and obviously like had health issues from that. Mm-hmm. But what was crazy was because I followed him on Twitter and seeing like literally like not even 24 hours before he died, he was like tweeting at fans like, "Hey man, I hope you come out to the show. Like, really excited to be touring in such and such a place," and then fucking gone. Like that's crazy to me, like how that's how our society is now, that we can have like people talking on social media up to the point of their death, basically. Like, "Hey, on my deathbed, doctors are saying it's not looking too good. I see the light now. I'm going through the tunnel. This will probably be my last tweet." Like, it's crazy.
Sam Shepard. Sam Shepard died.
Yeah. Adam West.
There's a lot of I mean, it's weird. I used to have this thing when I did comedy, God, I don't know why I ever talk. But I used to, I haven't really done much stand-up this year. I've been basically on a hiatus from it for a number of reasons. But like I used to, when a comic died, I used to feel like even if I didn't know them, even if I'd never worked with the comic, there was like you know what I mean? It was like a cop dying and you're a cop, It was like, it was like a loss in the fraternity or whatever. It was like,
absolutely.
There was a thing where you felt like you felt it a little more than anyone else could feel it. And I don't have that anymore. like if I knew them, I feel terrible and I feel bereft and I feel like a loss in the world. But I don't know what it is. Ralphie May died and I was like, that sucks for the people that knew him.
Yeah.
But I couldn't, as a comic, there wasn't anything for me that was like, and I don't know if that's me just not giving a shit anymore or what it is. I don't know if it's a good sign or a bad sign, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Huh.
I think that's up to you to decide whether it's good or bad. I don't think anybody else can decide that.
Yeah, like
because it could mean that you're not. No, honestly, it could be a good sign because it could mean that you're not internalizing all of the pain around you as much. Becoming
a little bit more.
Well, I've internalized it to capacity.
Yes, or you have it to capacity, or you've internalized it so much that you've burned the nerve endings off, and now you can't feel anything.
Okay, so here's one. So again, this kind of goes back to like what I was saying about like my grandma passing away. So Harry Dean Stanton. Right?
There was a lot of character actors this year too. Harry Dean Stanton.
I loved him. Everything I ever saw him in, I loved him in. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like he was old. He'd had a long career. I wasn't like I was following him recently. Like I wasn't like looking forward to his next movie or anything like that. But his passing, more than anything, just reminds me of how much time has elapsed in my own life. It's like, oh fuck, like I remember he was in Repo Man, right?
Yeah.
Like, I fucking remember watching Repo Man as a kid. It's like, oh, that guy's dead? Like, shit, how old am I? You know? Like, it just kind of is like a really kind of hard reminder of how quickly time goes.
This one got to me. Glenn Headley. That one got to me.
What were you
really
going to
liked
say?
her. Oh, sorry.
Oh, she was from
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah. Glenn Headley.
Oh, shit.
She was amazing. She was a really good, again, a character.
Oh,
actor.
yeah.
It was just so funny.
A lot of character actors.
She was awesome.
Like, not a whole lot of people knew her name, and then you would see her in a movie, and she'd steal the whole thing.
And you're like, oh, yeah, no, she was amazing in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
This is remarkable to me. Character actors, lots of them.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of them passed away this year. But also, John Hurt and John Hurd, both in the same year. And I always would confuse their name. Like, it's funny because I would confuse John Hurd with William Hurt.
Yeah.
But then, like, by appearance, but then by name, I would confuse John Hurd with John Hurt.
Yes.
Because they're, their names.
Yeah.
I just think that's I mean, when Bill Paxton died, everybody was doing the, like, Bill Pullman jokes, and it's like, nobody's ever fucking confused Bill Paxton for Bill Pullman. Shut up.
Never.
Like, not even close. But John Hurt and John Hurd dying, I was like, where are the fucking memes for this?
John Hurd was he the guy that was in Home Alone, or was that John Hurt? Okay, John Hurd.
No, that was John Hurd.
John Hurd was in
John
Home Alone.
Hurt was an alien.
Was an alien. Okay, yeah. Chris Cornell. Chris Cornell died.
That was the big one for me this year. That one was.
And then what was the other guy's name? Chester Bennington.
Chester Bennington. Yeah. So our rock stars this year were, which Allman? One of the Allman Brothers died.
I'm looking. I'm trying to see if it's.
And then Tom Petty, Chester Bennington. Chris Cornell, I think, was the celebrity death this year that messed me up more than any other.
Oh, really? Was it because it was a suicide?
What?
Was it because it was a suicide?
Because it was a suicide, and because it was an artist who, like, was very important to me at a very defining period of my life.
Yeah.
Like, Tom Petty, genius, meant a lot to probably more people. And definitely also, like, his music meant a lot to me as well. Huge Tom Petty fan. But, like, so I think we talked about this, the first time I did the podcast, but when the girl I was seeing in high school who died, that threw me into a really bad place, obviously, at the age of 16. That's going to fuck you up. So for, like, that entire year, I was depressed and angry and not processing well and, doing the stereotype. I was just wearing black all the time and hating everyone. And then God, was it, when did it come out? It was later in 96, right? Or was it the beginning of 96? I think it was later in 96 that Down on the Upside came out. And, like, I don't know what it was, but that album, that Soundgarden album, like, was a huge part of me kind of learning how to process what I was going through. It was like, it's to say that cheesy thing, like, that album maybe saved my life. Like, in a very real way, where, like, I could find solace and comfort and challenges in the lyrics and in the music, and it really did a lot for me. So it was just like, it's kind of fucked up because Chris Cornell's death is tied in with deaths that were a part of my life, and it's and then for it to be suicide as well is just like.
Do you think, like, is there, so I hear that whenever I hear people talk about, like, oh man, that album saved my life, it's always with music from, like, the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, so is there, like, any music now that, like, you listen to that helps you?
Oh, yeah.
Like.
Yeah. Carly Rae Jepsen, Emotion. Straight.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're being funny. You're being funny.
No, I'm being dead serious.
Oh, really?
Like, that's, like, that record is a part of my like my CBT rituals. Like
Oh,
it's
cool.
like
I'll definitely check it out.
it's a great album. I mean, it's pop. It's fun
Yeah,
pop.
that's fine. I'll be honest, like, I know that she has become kind of a controversial figure recently, but like listening to Taylor Swift has been kind of like good for me.
Yeah.
Like just
I like
to
the album
make me
Red a
feel,
lot.
whichever one has Shake It Off on there, like that whole album is pretty fun.
Oh, the 1989 or whatever.
Yeah,
1989, yeah.
That's a really fun, like, it's just a fun album. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, I feel good listening to it.
I can't think of like pop stars, but my go-to. This sounds now lame, but my go-to is like Sufjan Stevens. That's just who I listen to all the time.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
Carrie and Lowell is just like, that was my whole, when that came out, I think it was last year. It came out last year, maybe the year before. I can't remember. But I listened to that on repeat just over and over.
Speaking of Sufjan, I just want to give a shout out to another Dead Things guest that we had on, Brock Wilbur, because he had that shirt that said Sufjan Stevens.
I was meaning another 48 states, yeah.
Yeah.
Another 48 states, yeah.
I cracked up so hard when I saw that.
That was really good, yeah.
Yeah, even my current stuff, I don't know about anything that came out this year music-wise aside from jazz that really, like...
I know who. She's not pop, though, but Aisha...
The New Lord record is really good.
New Lord record is really good. Aisha Badru, she's really good. She's not getting enough credit because her stuff's really amazing.
You know what has really, I've actually been listening to a lot, and I really like it because it's a type of music that I like, but it's just cool that it's a female artist. I don't know how to say her name. It's like SZA.
Yeah, I've seen her come up on Twitter.
SZA?
Mm-hmm.
Like the RZA and the Jizza.
Yeah, it's a SZA.
She's really good.
Man, her album, I think it's called Control, is so fucking good.
Yeah,
like it's really good shit.
Yeah.
Chuck Berry, speaking of rock and roll.
Chuck Berry died. Oh, there was two that I was surprised. Prodigy.
Wait, Chuck Berry and Fats
Shirley
Domino
Murphy.
died in the same year?
Yeah. I know.
Talk about like how you were talking, Andy, how like when old people die, it's like a history book being burned or something. Like Chuck Berry, man, like.
Yeah, I mean, rock and roll.
Yeah. But like, how crazy to have been alive during to basically create an entire genre of music and to see it through so many different stages, you know? That's pretty cool.
And to I mean, it's just amazing because it's then the same year that Tom Petty and Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington and look, I'm not a Linkin Park guy. That was music that came out, I'm sure the way that some older generations probably felt when Soundgarden came around is how I felt when Linkin Park came around. But I'm not gonna rag on Linkin Park or anything. It wasn't my thing.
Sure.
A lot of people get it. A lot of people related to it.
I loved it. I loved Linkin Park when I was in early college.
Yeah.
Genevieve, that face.
But those are three people that also kind of sort of shaped the direction of different offshoots of rock and roll.
Yeah, for sure.
So to have them, but Chuck Berry was still around, you know? It's crazy.
Also, sorry to kind of backtrack, but back to comedians. Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah, Mary
Don
Tyler Moore was
Rickles.
a big one too.
Rickles.
I remember when she died. I tweeted because she died early. She died early in the year.
Yeah, January 25th.
Yeah, I immediately took to Twitter and was just like, "No, 2017, you give her back right now. What the fuck are you doing?"
And see, in that right there, I would like to highlight that. So, that to me is the type of quippy remark that feels fitting when someone passes away, right?
Yeah.
Because you're being kind of funny, but you're also expressing real kind of sadness about it. That obviously that's in good taste. I am fucking sick and tired of the second there's a news item where people have died and people rush to Facebook and Twitter to make some shitty, mean joke.
And it's always the same joke, and you see it from a million comedians, and some of them it's dude, you're just being a hack now. In addition to this being insensitive and shitty,
you're just being a bad comic.
40 open
you need
micers
to you need to check to see whether your joke is out there before you can just look at your timeline or Google it on Twitter, just see whether, because if it's a joke that you thought of first, I bet you thousands of people have already posted it.
If it's the first thing you think of about a topical subject, it means everyone else
has thought about it. Yeah,
and exactly. Well, and especially like when it's like just kind of mean-spirited, and it's like you're literally just writing this to get like because it's topical. Like that's the only reason. It's not because it means anything to you. It's not like when there was a train derailment in Washington recently, and I saw so many people being like, oh, like. Guess it's a good thing I wasn't planning on commuting today, her, or whatever. And it's like 3 people died, you know?
It's so sad.
Like 3 people died, and you're making like a shitty joke. Like, fuck off. Anyways.
Well, guys, we have been at this for an hour and 23 minutes, but actually,
have we really?
Yeah, but actually more because we had some technical difficulties that first half hour.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Any last mentions that we need to get out? Man.
Hugh Hefner, but he's a piece of shit, so I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah, that was like one of those ones again where people were like, oh man, like I don't know, they just said all kinds of shitty shit about.
The only joke I liked about that were the jokes about finding his body in the woods. Like that's like literally the only thing that anyone said about Hugh Hefner dying that made me laugh in any way.
What did they say?
What?
You remember like the premise of the joke? Like
yeah, well, no, it was just basically like, yeah, Hugh Hefner died. They found his body in the woods or something like that. The joke being that you used to find Playboys in the woods or whatever.
Yeah.
And I like that.
That's good. But see that's a clever joke. That's
pretty clever,
the thing.
Yeah.
It's like I think most people who like are trying to be like like a purposefully offensive or whatever. It's just such a lazy form of comedy. I fucking hate it.
Yeah, it is.
It's open mic.
It's so lazy.
Yeah, it is open mic stuff. And it's like,
shit.
Yeah, and you just like I said, just search for it. I bet it's there. Just go.
It's just lazy.
It's lazy.
Fucking don't have. Lazy. It's lazy. It's fucking offensive to me because it's goddamn lazy shit. Write a joke.
I think Hugh Hefner was a piece of shit, but I also think that like he was responsible for some good things. So I think it's a complicated thing. So like I didn't really weigh in on the social media.
I didn't post about it either. I don't think I posted about it. I could be lying, but I'm pretty sure I didn't post about it. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like he's a piece of shit, but he did some good things. He got whatever. Like
yeah. But it's just like I don't know. There was this like need to like relitigate a person's life the second they die, and it's just kind of like. It's sort of like, what's the point? I mean, I guess with a figure like that, there is a point because it's
still having an impact.
The stuff that he did that was wrong is, and monstrous is related to a lot of the stuff we're talking about now, just in the world that's monstrous that we're starting to address, which is good. I guess it's more the people that were like defending him, where I was like. But like, why?
Yeah, like, what's the point? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why anybody defends any public figure. To be honest, like,
right?
Unless you're like really close friend and you're like, whatever. But like, why would you defend a public figure if they're if they have allegations against them? Just be like, yeah, he's probably a piece of shit. But I guess people are gonna decide. The court will decide, or cops will decide, or whatever it is. But I'm going to err on the side of he's probably a piece of shit. Like, there's probably something terrible that dude did,
Yeah.
Might as well.
You don't really lose anything by doing that.
No, it's like, why would I go on record saying that, like, this man is a good man, and I know, like, why the fuck would you do that? If you don't know anything about this person, why would you do that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Okay, so, if we're going to be wrapping this up, I think, any predictions for 2018 or any hopefuls for 2018?
Wow.
I think we all know who
America has one big hopeful.
I'm not gonna say it. I don't want any.
You don't want the FBI coming?
No, I'm not gonna say it.
I'm not gonna say it either. I mean, but it's like
well,
that
if you
thing.
Say it, then it's not gonna
just say we've all got a hopeful, and no one has to ask. No. I had a prediction last year that didn't come true just because I thought, the way that everyone was talking about 2016 and all the people that we lost, I was like, you keep talking shit about 2016, just watch New Year's Day, Betty White's going to go. And it didn't happen.
Hold on.
Mine is Stanley. I think Stanley is going to
He's old. He's one of those ones too where like again like I would be sad to see him go, not because he's doing anything like groundbreaking, but he's just like it's nice to have him around. Like
Yeah.
he just seems kind of like he seems like a cool guy. He's like the old, you know. And again, talk about a piece of history, like somebody who basically created modern comics and has lived to see what all that entails. Like how cool, like that to me, I think would be the coolest thing in life is to not only be a groundbreaking person in a field, but then to also get to see the impacts of your creations. You know, like that is so cool. Like he's gone from comic books being just like a tiny little thing that no one really cared about and they only made it because they loved it, to Marvel being a multi-billion-dollar enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of screwed some people over to get there, but...
Oh, sure.
But yeah, I mean... Who didn't?
I think the other ones that I could think of that are over 90. So we said Betty White, Stanley. I'm thinking like people like Mel Brooks or Carl Reiner or Angela Lansbury. I feel like there's going to be someone in that pool.
So again, this could I feel like this could fall into either predictions or hopefuls.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, but Woody
Allen.
Allen.
I'm not hoping. Oh yeah,
No,
Woody Allen's pretty old.
This could.
Oh yeah.
So Woody Allen could just be a prediction, but he could also be a hopeful prediction, kind of depending on who you are.
I'm trying to think of another one. Cloris Leachman. She's pretty old. Is she dead? Did she die? I don't think she died.
Oh God, I
check.
No.
I don't know. She might be dead. Cloris Leachman. Let's see. Cloris Leachman. All right, let's see. Is she dead? She is not dead. She's not dead.
Okay.
She's not dead.
Yeah, you're right.
She's 91. She's 91. She's not dead.
Okay, hold on one second.
Des Moines. Fellow Iowan.
About.
I don't know. It's weird because like you can play the '90s game, you know, where it's just like, well, these people over 90, they're probably gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Stan Lee, I can see because, you know, what better way to end Phase 3 of the MCU? You know, you got Avengers: Infinity War coming out, and that's that. Does he have a cameo in Black Panther?
He's got to, right?
He's got to.
Maybe there's like a scene.
He's like on
safari. Out in the
jungle
or something.
He's on safari, and like, where are we going?
Maybe on a TV. I could see him being on a TV.
Oh yeah, he could be on TV.
What if do you think they're going to CGI him into future Marvel movies as cameo?
God, I hope not.
That would be so weird. I don't know if I'd be mad about it.
Rogue One.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I'd be mad about that, but
yeah, I don't know. It'd go either way.
Yeah.
I always like to try and wonder who the younger people are going to be. Like it's more morbid, and it's definitely more like, because then you're talking about unexpected, which means you're talking about stuff that it's kind of like maybe unable to assume about people. But yeah, maybe I'll just leave it there. Maybe.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear my dogs? My dogs are. Come here.
Yeah.
Come here. Who has like a major drug problem right now, or?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure like
who's
Lindsay
not living
Lohan is always in the pool. You know?
There you go, Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, I could see that.
Like always.
That's someone who I don't feel bad talking about. Nothing against Lindsay. Like I feel bad for any child star whose life kind of goes off the rails like that because it's probably I'm sure like there's all kinds of circumstances, but I don't feel bad in the sense that like it wouldn't be so shocking, I guess, if she died.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks to say.
Yeah, it does, but I mean, sometimes you got to say things that suck to say. I don't know. I don't know. It's like
one person. Okay,
thing as it is.
Okay, I got one. The new I think he's like the prince of like Saudi Arabia, who's been doing all. He's like a secularist, and so he's been doing all these like reforms, like letting women drive and stuff, and he's really been pushing for like women's roles to get bigger. And it's like, is he gonna get assassinated or something? Because he's like making
that's
changes.
how I pretend guns.
That's your assassination. I like how non-threatening this went. It was like, he could get shot, and Genevieve's like,
assassin. I'd be like,
I don't know. I don't think that's how it works.
I don't think that's how it works. No.
But yeah, but that would be I think that would be a possible prediction for me is like.
I think
I worry.
I think a bridge is going to collapse somewhere.
Okay.
There's definitely going to be a mass shooting for sure.
Well, there's going to, yeah. I mean, like.
Think that'll continue?
Yeah.
That was just a fad in 2017?
Probably.
I think we might get another #1 this year.
A #1?
Another #1 mass shooting. Another most.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's going to be, natural disasters wise are just getting worse. I think there's going to be a major earthquake somewhere in California.
Oklahoma for sure.
Fracking, yeah.
Oklahoma for sure. It's going to have one.
And then
probably,
I think there's going to be, the hurricanes or fires or tornadoes or something like that. I think it's just going to some kind of rampage.
Yeah, and if these if the ice keeps melting, it could be like floods. Some places. Yeah. That's the thing is it's incredible how much as humans we're willing to ignore, and not do anything about it or change our ways at all.
Yeah, right.
It's surprising.
I mean, even next time my hometown floods, that's it. I'm pretty sure.
Well, and what's interesting, I was listening to something and they were talking about flooding in particular, how there's all of these practices to make to try and incentivize people to leave flood areas, but the way that they're implemented, people end up actually staying in them because the city will insure their house for I can't remember exactly all the details, but basically there are people who live in flood prone regions. Mm-hmm. And they shouldn't fucking live there. They need to move.
I think
every couple of years.
That too. It's also where people talk about why would someone live in this area because it's prone to this, but it's the whole planet is prone to killing us. I don't know. I mean, I live in California. We got fires. We got earthquakes.
Yeah.
Albuquerque's pretty good, but you're gonna get shot. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any area where it's not the planet that's trying to kill you, it's just other people trying to kill you. I don't know if there's anywhere you can go that's
safe.
I don't know. Minnesota.
Then
cold. You just have to live somewhere where it gets real cold sometimes, and you're fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody move to where it's cold and don't have kids.
Don't have kids. Yeah.
Get on meds.
Get on your meds.
Get on your meds. Guys, just, honestly, take your meds. Do your CBT check-ins. Make sure you ground yourself.
Get your CBD.
As much as you can. If you have access to CBD, do your CBD. But
I just started therapy.
Yay! Good for you, man.
Actual talk therapy last week, and
I've been going to a therapist for about 2 months now, maybe 3 months.
That's good.
Yeah, and she's pretty great.
I started doing it. I've done it for a long time, but I started taking it much more seriously. Because I would do it I have a panic and I'm like, fuck, I gotta go see my therapist, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
It was
reactive instead of proactive.
Yeah, it's I feel a pain, so I should go to the emergency room. It was that kind of thing, It wasn't I'm just gonna take care of my body every day, so I don't have this weird pain. It's it's that kind of thing. So I've been taking it more seriously, and I've been going regularly since the spring. So I feel a lot better. I don't know.
Good. That's good. I think I honestly I feel really lucky. This is my third therapist in the last 18 months. I had 2 in Albuquerque, and then this is my first one out here. And I feel I really lucked out. I feel I found somebody who is on the same page as me as how to approach some of my depression and behavioral issues. And she's kind of new. She hasn't. I don't even think she's fully licensed yet, but she's through the Kaiser system. So she's she isn't some jaded person who's been doing therapy for 40 years and it's just whatever. I just need my paycheck. She's pretty cool. So I feel really lucky.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, hey, I'm so glad that we're all alive here at the end of the year. I hope we continue that trend.
We did it.
Yeah.
We made it.
Barely.
This far.
Here. All right, guys. Well, hey, Andy, thank you so much for being on the show with us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Thanks for having me, friends.
Hey. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that the people can't hear me, but they will hear me on the actual thing, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? This was the first time we did this, so hopefully, if anybody was watching the live stream, they'll be forgiving of any technical difficulties,
And I'll figure it out next time.
Figure it out next time.
Yeah.
And as always, I'll say it: don't die. Keep listening.
We love you.
There we go.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. All right, I'm gonna save this, so it'll like actually post to the thing, and then I'll save.
I feel bad for going off on all those tangents, guys.
No, dude,
it's great.
Andy, don't get in your head. Everything you said was interesting, and I was really happy to have you on.
Yeah, thank you so much for
Thank you.
spending some time with us. I'm sorry the first like half hour was kind of crazy with the tech stuff, but I'll figure it out next time.
It's fine.
Thank you. See you guys later. I'll post this.
Right.
I'll probably post this like later on today. I'm not going to edit it really. I'm just going to post it onto YouTube and then I'll share it.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Bye. See you.
Bye, love you.
Bye.